you run an e-commerce email marketing agency, or you want to work with one of those companies, or maybe you are a freelancer or an expert in this field and you want to learn how to price your clients properly, or if you are looking for an agency like this, you want to know what is a fair price to quote it for, then this video is for you, because today I will show you not just numbers and what is a realistic number, because it's not just about numbers and the end price, but also about the structure. And I'm also a big believer that you should find the best way to align the interest of the client with yours, with your agency, and also how you price them. It should really align with the value that you can provide them. And there are different pricing models. Many of them, they are not the best for this alignment, but there are some which are. I will show you what worked for me after more than 6 years of experience on this field. So stay tuned and let me show you how to do this. Alright, so let's jump into your email marketing pricing guide. I want to keep this transparent, I try to keep this real, and I'm shooting this video not just to email marketing service providers, agencies, freelancers, also to the other side, to the client side, because I want you guys, e-commerce business owners and any business owners who want to have email marketing in their business. So I want you to understand not just what is a solid and good price, but also the different pricing structures and what's the best way to price the value that your email marketer provides to your business. Because there are different pricing structures, as you will see, and I think if we just talk about numbers, that's a kind of not smart way to talk about pricing, because pricing, it's not just about the number that you pay every single month or maybe one time, but also it's about how the value that you get is priced to you, and you will see this later what I mean by that. When I'm talking about these pricing structures and numbers, I will keep in mind mostly the US market and the standards of the US. I have probably more than 100 US based clients until now, and something around 30-50 clients from Europe and the UK, some from India, Emirates. So I have experience from many other countries, but most of my experience and my agent experience comes from the US. So when it comes to popular pricing structures, here are the 5 most well-known or most used. So the very first one is per hour, and I think this is really close to an employee kind of mindset. When somebody, typically freelancers or small agencies, they use an hourly based rate, and if you go to a freelancer platform like Fiverr or Upwork, you can see these hourly rates of different service providers as well. There are pros and cons here. Why I'm not a huge fan? Because the value that is delivered to you as a business, it's not priced correctly. So usually the hourly rate is based on the experience or the knowledge of the person, or maybe where they live. So based on these things instead of what value you actually get for your business. Also, another inconvenient or a bad surprise it can be if somebody actually needs more hour than it. I think in the development world, it's very well known, so that's just a bad surprise that you can get as a client. Number 2 is per project. So this has the advantage that the service provider gives you a quote for the whole project, and there is a much less chance for getting a negative surprise, because you pay upfront for the project and you know what you get. And from that point, the risk of not getting into the time frame or the frame of budget that you have, it's mostly on the service providers. If a project needs more resources on their end, the service provider's end, then usually they don't charge more, because it was their initial calculation and they made a bad job if this happened. However, it can happen that they delay with the deadline, which is obviously not. But I think per project is still better than per hour. In email marketing, I can typically see that automation setups, those are sold as a one-time project. In my company, we don't use this system anymore. I find this too rigid, and yeah, I'm just not a fan of it. So I will go to the next. Scope-based pricing. So this is typically based on the number of emails when it comes to email marketing. Basically here, the company, the service provider charges based on the number of emails or number of something, basically. It's based on the scope, and I think this is a better approach than the other two above. I can see most email agencies using this model, especially with monthly campaign management. They have a monthly service retainer, and it's typically based on the scope that they have. And just giving you more insight if you are on the client side, so this is typically calculated based on the margins and the cost of the agency that you work with. So they have a margin goal that they want to achieve. They know the cost of their employees, and they add up the two, and that's how they come up with the price per email or the price per scope that they have. I think it has its pros and cons as well, but so far this one is probably the best. Number 4 is a revenue share. So this can be a tricky one. This is very well known in the ad ecosystem. However, it's easier for them to calculate these numbers. And why? Because you spend a certain amount on Meta ads or Google ads or TikTok ads, and you can see the ROI generated very clearly on these platforms. But when it comes to email marketing, it's harder because there is already a certain traffic coming in and a certain revenue generated, and using emails you just retarget those people. We could have a debate, and we usually have potential clients, that what kind of revenue should be attributed to email or ads or maybe something else. We usually use the default attribution of Klaviyo, which is a 5-day open attribution. What this means is, so anyone clicks an email and they open an email sent through Klaviyo and they buy within 5 days after they open this email, that is attributed to email marketing. So we typically use this structure, but I know it's possible to change that as well. So revenue share, it can be either a percentage, which is a more, I'm not a fan of this because it's usually just harder to think in percentages. It's just harder to grasp the number. So we rather use fixed tiers that they pay to us if they hit certain numbers. I will show you it a bit later what I mean by this, but yeah, revenue share is a solid structure, and I think this is probably the closest to a solid pricing because this really represents the value that is generated for your business. But the biggest bottleneck is the attribution that you need to work on. And the last one is a hybrid model. This is what my agency has, so it's not a secret. We typically use a scope-based pricing, a retainer fee per month, plus a revenue share model. Yeah, I will show you a few tips close to the end of this presentation, how you can come up with your own hybrid model and what you should consider. We can usually see that 3, 4, 5 people work on email marketing in a solid email marketing agency. So people, they of course always they say in different calls, especially business owners who never worked with an agency, that you charge 5K for this, but I could get someone, a freelancer, for $500. And yes, of course you can, but there is nobody on earth who is a good strategist, a good copywriter, a good graphic designer, a good tech expert of the email tool that you use, and even they QA their own work. Even if they know these, all these 4, it's impossible that they will notice their own mistakes that they make. So you need a QA as well as a 5th person. We have these in my team. I know some agencies, they work with fewer people or maybe even more. I'm not a fan of using even more because then things just get too slow. This is also a reason why we charge more, because we have 5 solid marketers working on your account. And if you think about each person makes, let's say $2,000–3,000 a month, then that really adds up and then you can just really calculate that how many accounts they have to work on to decrease your monthly retainer. Because just let's make the numbers. So 5 people each makes, I don't know, just $2,000. That's $10,000. So if you want to have 5 people working on your email account full time, you should pay us $10K per month plus the agency's margin. So probably around $15,000 a month to us if you want these 5 people. But they will work on more accounts, of course, 5-6 accounts. Then you should pay us around, let's say, $4,000. And then when an agency, they charge only $1,000 or even less, then imagine that these marketers, they either don't earn enough money to be solid marketers, or they work on 30-40 accounts that probably you don't want because they will spend 5 minutes on your account per month. So these are the two variables, and again, I just try to be transparent why we charge those amounts that we charge from our clients. Typical US prices. So after this, probably you are not surprised on this. So per hour, I think a solid agency charges at least 100, but rather 200-300 USD per hour. If you are a freelancer, maybe you charge less. If you charge per project and you set up 10, 30, maybe even 40 emails, then 3K at least up to $15,000. We had this project as well, 15K. We set up flows for multiple e-commerce stores. Third is scope based, so this is a bit wild west, I would say. It can start from 250 up to 800 USD per email. It really depends on the agency's experience, how complex the emails are. If they need solid design, we need to involve a solid designer. Maybe some coding is needed. Nowadays you can create these responsive emails where people, they can even send a survey through the email and different things, and there we need some coding as well. Number 4, revenue lift share. As I said, it can be either a percentage or a tiered one. I'm a bigger fan of the tiered structure that I will show you in a few minutes. And the last one is a hybrid. For example, we use a scope-based monthly pricing plus a revenue lift share using tiers. I just brought you an example of how we use the scope-based retainer model and the performance bonus, the revenue share, revenue lift share kind of thing. So I think the scope-based fixed thing is quite obvious on the top. So 3.5K per month for email, 1K USD per month. And below you can see the performance bonus, how we do this. So 3 important things. 1, it's not percentage. I'm not a fan of percentage because for people it's harder to grasp what this really means. I mean, if you say 5% of generated extra revenue, yeah, that's amazing. But they don't really think about this. If they make 500K, we make an extra 100K for them. They will pay us, in that case, $5,000 a month. They just don't really think about it. So that's why I like to put down the exact numbers, and when they start reading this, they will be happy because they will see that, okay, if these guys make more than 200K for us, we will pay them $6,000 extra beyond the monthly fee, and I'm still happy with this. So they will really internalize this way of thinking. As you can see, this is in tiers. If we generate an extra 25K up to 50K per month, they pay us $750 extra. If it's 50,000 to 100K per month, then they pay us 1.5K per month as an extra, and so on and so forth. However, second important thing, so there is a floor. If we are below $25,000 extra generated revenue, they only have to pay the monthly retainer, and there is no bonus there. So if we make, I don't know, $1,000 extra revenue, they don't have to pay any extra for that. That would be ridiculous. So that's why we have this minimum as an incentive for us. And the third piece, this is unfortunate, but this happens, that if you start making too much money for a client, they will start thinking that you are just too expensive, and they start thinking taking this whole thing in-house and all of that. So in order to eliminate this, we had to sit down in my team and we started thinking, okay, so what if we don't get a high percentage and we don't get, I don't know, $10,000 as an extra performance bonus, but we are okay with a lower number, which is still a nice number, and we just stick to that. And this is $6,000 what we came up with. So basically, because this happened in the past, so if we make them I don't know, 300k, they would pay 10k plus the monthly retainer, so almost $15,000 a month, and many of them they will find this too expensive. That's the reality, and that's why we came up with this, that if we hit 200k plus as an extra generated revenue, we charge 6k per month plus the retainer, and that's it. We don't charge more, we don't increase this bonus more. Yeah, I know it might sound painful, but I'm still happy with 10k per month client, and the client is also happy. He knows that we reinvest a big part of this money that he pays us every month, so yeah, everyone is happy, and that's the plan that we came up with basically. And now, so instead of just giving you ideas, what you should use or how we do things, I would rather leave you here with a few tips how to choose and how to strategize your own pricing structure. So here are 7 things that you should consider. This is not everything, but I think these are the most important things. So first of all, think about the company size of your agency and your team, and also the size of your client, and also how many people are involved. So story, when I started my company and I was alone or maybe 2 people, I worked based on rev share only. Because I had a huge appetite for risk. I was okay to earn 0 money or $7,000 if I made enough money for the client. I was completely fine with that. I didn't really appreciate my time. I didn't have different expenses because I didn't have a team, so I was completely fine with the rev share only model. However, when I started hiring people, we started having different expenses, and we started going on the route of scope-based pricing only. Then I realized that it's not the best to really price the value that we can offer to our clients, so it's better to mix the rev share model with a scope-based pricing, and that's the hybrid model that we use today. So again, really think about these kind of things. Second is project complexity. So if this is a more complex project, then I think you should rather go with a more fixed pricing, so project-based or scope-based pricing. Maybe you can charge an extra hourly rate if there is an extra work required by the client, so it really saves your ass. And if this is a more simple one, then you can think about rev share, or you can think about just scope-based price. Third, is your client okay with rev share or does prefer a fixed fee? I always ask this as a question in the first call. I want to see what they prefer, and honestly, just very hard to find a pattern about people. I thought about maybe older people, they prefer fixed fees, they are more risk averse. I have no clue. I can maybe say one thing: if you talk to the owners of the business, the founders, the owners, they are more ROI focused. They are usually more okay with rev share than managers, because managers, they usually have they are more risk averse. They can be fired from the job. Founders, they cannot be fired in most cases. But managers, they work with a budget, and also they can be fired. So typically they rather use a fixed fee and not for revenue share. Number 4, uncertainty of your project. So really think about how certain you are about the scope and the expenses that you have, how much time it will take. So different things can come up, like requests from the client. Maybe it's a new platform you never used before. For example, now we struggle with some MailChimp integrations, and that's something that really sucks, to be honest. But fortunately, we have good contracts in place. Potential tech issues. So technology is probably the biggest variable, and the second is the client. It can be tricky sometimes. So really think about the uncertain things, and try to come up with a contract that can save your ass, especially if there is a lot of uncertainty. Number 5, your risk appetite. I shared the story at the first point, so I hope you understand it now. Number 6, your ability to sell complex offers. So yeah, that one is more about salesmanship, but I think it's easy to sell an hourly rate type of contract or even a project-based contract. But when it comes to these rev share tiers, it's a bit more complex, and you have to really filter your prospects, see their, how they think and what they are okay with. And yeah, this tier system I showed you on the slide before, this is harder to sell than a percentage based rev share deal, for example. So it's more about salesmanship, but I think if you are a good salesperson, you can sell this. Number 7, month-to-month changes of the scope. Yeah, especially the special requests of the client. So if there are big changes all the time, sometimes your scope doubles during Black Friday. In January it's half of it. Then maybe you should go to a rev share or scope-based pricing and not based on a fixed monthly price or retainer. So yeah, just really think about this, because if you have a fixed monthly price and the scope really changes, it can really hurt your margins. So yeah, just think about it. And final question, so this is more on the client side. You might be asking now how much I should spend on email marketing every month. So below 1 million USD annual revenue, I think 6 to 8% of your revenue should be spent on email marketing. If you work with a good agency, it's hard to spend less than that. If you are between 1 to 5 mil a year, it's around 2 to 4% of your total revenue. And if you are above $5 million in revenue, it can be 1% or less per year. So if you make 5 million a year in revenue, you should spend around $50,000 or maybe even less on email marketing, and you will see a good ROI on that type of service. So I hope this was helpful, and yeah, if you want to talk to me and to our team and you want us to review your email marketing, loyalty program, even Google Ads now, that's our new service, then click the link in the description and let's book a call and let's see if we can help you. Hey Budai Nation, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure that you go down and you subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so you get updated of my newest videos. Also in the description I will put a free guide of our top 100 highest converting emails ever that you can download for free. And finally, before I leave, I will give you one more thumbnail. Check out that video. Hope I see you soon on this channel.